Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk a little bit about comic books, a little bit about apps, and a little bit about the future. Okay, so I hope you guys had a really good weekend. I mean, I did. For once, I didn't work through the entire weekend. It seems like over the last 2 or 3 months, it's just been so busy that I've been, working through Saturday and then sneaking away on Sunday and doing a little bit of work, but trying not to do like official work. Like I could still do other things like, cook dinner or whatever. Right? So, but yesterday, like on Sunday, one of my kids asked me to take him to Comic-Con, so we went to Comic-Con on Sunday, and it wasn't San Diego Comic-Con, obviously, and it wasn't even London. It was like Swindon, so it was like a small Comic-Con about 20 miles away, and it was actually pretty good. It was like there were some celebrities there. I didn't know who any of them were because because I grew up in the States and I don't know a lot of who the television that was over here. And I think one of the Doctor Who's was there, but I didn't see him, and it was Sylvester McCoy. Again, I'd never seen any of those Doctor Who's because I didn't grow up here, right? But it was really interesting. They did have the like a replica Knight Rider kit car. I thought that was cool, and my little boy was like, I don't know what that is. All right, we gotta get some DVDs and everything like that. So anyway, it was a pretty nice day out, right? So, but it's what interested me about that is because I used to love to go to Comic-Con when I was like 12, 13, 14, 15, like pretty much between the ages of 12 and 17. Before I left San Diego. I used to love to go to Comic-Con in San Diego, right? And it was back then, it wasn't as huge as it is now. I think like now you can't even get tickets for the thing, right? And it's, there's celebrities and all that stuff there. And it used to be, pretty low key in comparison. I remember once I saw like a talk about the Transformers movie, not the Michael Bay ones, but like the one where Leonard Nimoy did the voice of Megatron, right? And I got like this poster, and you go see different types of stuff, and it was all pretty exciting, right? So when I got home last night, I was telling my kids, I used to be really big into the comic books. I used to collect those a lot, and they were like, and I wasn't sure if they knew how serious I was, so I went out to the garage where I have a couple boxes of comic books, which just sort of follow me along, right? It's piled underneath like, a bunch of boxes of old army uniforms and like just a bunch of stuff from moves and electronics equipment that doesn't even work in England, but I still hang on to for some reason anyway, right? And I found like an old box of comics, right? And I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, Eric, I never pegged you as a comic book guy. I would have thought more like I don't know, captain of the football team, but no. So some of the ones I have here is I have like X Factor #1, which is in a plastic bag with a cardboard backing. Web of Spider-Man #1, which was one of the Spider-Man series that started in the 80s, right? But my prize possession, which I couldn't seem to find, which is worrying, is Amazing Spider-Man #252, which is the first appearance of the alien black suit, which later becomes Venom, and I thought that was the coolest looking thing ever. And I had this one. Actually, I did have another one, which was the Dark Knight Returns first printing, which I kept in the bag, and I actually, in my teenager room had put up on the wall in display, and so I could just look at it, right? And I held on to these things, and we all did, me and my friends, we would hang on to the comics, and we'd keep them in perfect conditions and turn the pages very carefully and everything like that, because we knew one day these things would be worth a lot of money, right? We held on to them because there was no way they couldn't, right? We knew that people years from now would want to read these comics, and that there was in no way going to be like a super interconnected computers and digital publishing that would lower the value of these in any way, right? So it's funny because I'm walking through this Comic-Con yesterday, right? And I'm looking at the comics and I'm thinking, these things don't have the value that you thought they were going to have as a kid, right? You hold on to these things and go, I'm gonna keep this, and one day they're going to be worth loads, right? I'm going to sell them to a collector, right? And the truth is, you could get any of these comics online, I assume, right? You read them on your iPad, within pay hardly anything and download them and read them and all this kind of stuff. And the only reason you'd actually buy one is if you're gonna, I don't know, display it or think, I just like to feel it, right? So it's, you know, and I guess I've just moved beyond that, right? It's a life that I left behind. And even like the merchandise was, I mean, they had, most of the stuff there was like merchandise, and, you know, buy little trinkets and stuff, like mugs and stuff like that, or, you know, like Star Trek uniform stuff. And I tell you what, when I went to Comic-Con as a kid, I love that stuff, like, because you couldn't buy it anywhere. They weren't going to sell that stuff like at Kmart or Sears or Walmart or anything. No, you had to go to a convention. But now all that stuff's available online, right? It was, and one day we might have one day 3D printing might be cheap enough that we could just make that stuff ourselves. It'll be interesting to see where the future goes, right? What I want to say is, so let's go back to apps, right? Enough about the Comic-Con, enough about the that kind of stuff. When I was a kid, I thought these comic books would be worth a lot of money. I thought there was no way they couldn't, right? As long as you held on to them, and it was just, you know, that would just be that, because that was a conventional wisdom. Every so often, people ask me whether or not they should learn Java for Android development, or whether like something like, you know, PWAs or progressive web apps are going to take over, right? And I always say, dude, I don't know what the future brings, right? Everything's going to change, you know, and we all look for the certainty. I mean, one of the things that I think, one of the reasons I don't like university or college that much is you get the impression that once you graduate from college, once you graduate from university, you're done, right? You'll get your job and you'll stay in that job forever. And sometimes you meet those people who have that job, and they're just like, they're somehow, you know, in a bubble where they're protected against the rest of the changing economy. And then sometimes you meet the people who are, you know, who worked at Tower Records, or who worked in the music industry that lost their jobs, or people who worked at Kodak, and you know, and then the entire landscape changed, right? And this is one of the things I think about apps, right? The app market, or technology in general, it changes like it seems like every I would say 5 or 6 years, but it's even more than that. And you think about when Angular became big, and it's been around for a while, but it's always evolving, and those skills always need to be updated. And the world we live in now, you have to constantly be learning. And it's one of my goals in life is not to be that guy who says this is not fair, like the landscape changed. You know, like you see it all the time on the news, where you'll see there's been massive layoffs someplace, and there's a bunch of people carrying the boxes out of the building saying, they just laid us all off, it's not fair, I don't understand it, right? And, you know, a week before they were saying, yeah, you know, nothing's gonna happen to my job because they need me, right? And it's a sad thing, but it happens all the time. I mean, I've seen it happen, like, personally at places that I've worked as contractor, right? Where, you know, people, you know, they've announced they're gonna have redundancies, and everyone said, yeah, they can't get rid of me because they need me, and then they're gone, right? And it's, what I'm always thinking about is what am I going to do next, right? I was doing a tutorial. I was doing a tutorial this week actually on machine learning. I don't know anything about machine learning, right? I know that it's big, and it's like it's a buzzword really. And I was trying to think, you know, what is it? How can I use it? Is there anything we could do with it? And I'm still not quite sure. It's actually fascinating. There's some really good tutorials on YouTube on just getting started with machine learning. Right, and you know, I think that's gonna, you know, it's gonna have a lot of applications in the future, and I don't want to be left behind. But again, I don't know. It might not be that. It might be something else. It's not going to be, you know, games or apps or whatever, right? And I also saw like a comment that somebody made on, I think it was some YouTube video somewhere, where it said, apps are here to stay. Apps are here forever, right? Mobile applications are here forever, right? And I thought, you know, I have everything invested in mobile apps, right? We do mobile app development. I make most of my money through mobile app development, or through our own apps, right? And even I don't trust that it's going to stay, right? I think the landscape changes all the time, and we always have to move. Just like that, just like as a 15-year-old kid, you know, that I thought I knew what the future held in terms of my collectibles. I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue what was on the horizon, right? And a lot of, you know, and you don't have a clue what's on the horizon either, and neither do I, and we always have to be prepared. I mean, one of the reasons I wake up so early, and one of the reasons why I feel like I don't have enough time, is because I also realize that I need to spend time learning new stuff. And I know you guys are developers, you know this too, right? You don't just, you're not sticking with the thing you learned in college or university or your first programming language, you're probably on your 5th or 6th programming language, and you know that, you know, 3 years from now you'll be on something else, or 5 years from now, you know, definitely you'll be on something else, and you know, and it's just, that's just the way it is. It is a slippery slope, and that's just, it's not just IT either. I think it's everything. Anyway, sorry to get depressing about that. Comic-Con was great. You know, we don't know what the future holds. You know, whatever you learn, it's not going to be wasted. You know, when you learn a software language, you know, the next one's going to be easier. The next one after that's going to be easier. And after a while, learning new things is not even, you know, it's not even that hard. You just jump in and get started. Anyway, that's it for today. Sorry to geek out so much today. That's it for today. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.